But please bear with us because we're going to have some fun with this. We're currently streaming to Facebook, we're streaming to YouTube, we're also streaming to Instagram up the top there, so we've got a couple of cameras on the go. Today's all about the Ford Ranger Raptor. This is designed as an AMA. Ask me anything. We'll get to that in just a second, but I wanted to give you a quick update on the YouTube channel. So some exciting numbers here. Since we started, we've been having a lot of fun doing this. It all started with Igor and I. Sean joined us a little later on, and we have been loving making these videos for our audience. We just cracked 217,000 subscribers, which is a really cool achievement for a channel that isn't really that old in the grand scheme of things. In addition to that, last month saw 4.5 million views on the channel. It's a record for us. Really proud of that achievement, and how many of you also enjoyed our mega test video. There are more of those to come. We have some exciting news as well. We are going to be doing some merch, some merchandise. So you'll be able to buy some shirts and other sort of things that we're working on at the moment with some funny sayings from some of our videos. So please do keep an eye out for those. We'll see if we can give some of those away as a prize as well, just to keep everyone happy. And in addition to that, we want to do more of these live streams. So throughout this entire live stream, you can ask us questions on Instagram up there or on YouTube or Facebook. We'll be able to see those. They'll come up in front of me here and I'll answer anything that I can. Now, before we get started on the Ford Ranger Raptor, Igor has a little sizzle reel here that we shot just to give you a bit of a highlight of some of the cool stuff that we've been doing since we launched the channel. So hopefully you'll be able to see this. Igor, take it away. The thing with the RS6 is that if you know what it is, you know what it is. This is quick. The computer can decide whether that LED, everything's super easy to access, and whether you can actually fit adults in. So this is going to be slow. You can even get like a ladder. Land Rover calls it terrain response. You press this button here. Oh, that noise is stupid. Right here is the SUV version of it. If you have a look at the manual, there was basically an AM radio. I think this is what we're all here for. There it is, just there. I feel like I'm going to fall out of my seat here, climb over some of these sharper rocks which can hit the underbody. All right, here it comes. Come towards the back of the car. It has got some absolute hips there. It's actually remarkable how well they've made this thing handle. It's pushing me back in the seat. That 800 Newton meters of torque is like a tidal wave. Okay, so we are back in action. Let's kick off with the Ford Ranger Raptor AMA. Now, I'll run you through the stuff we already know about this. So we already know things like the price. We know it's going to be priced around that $85,000 mark. Now, a lot of people have been asking, how much will I be paying? Did Ford give me a discount? Well, unfortunately not. They did not give me a discount, and that means that I will be paying the same price that anyone else would if they walked into a Ford dealer. One of the things I am seeing at the moment, though, is a lot of people have contacted me about dealer delivery costs being outrageous. And I remember when Holden launched the special edition versions of the final V8 Commodores, dealers were going to town on dealer delivery because that's where they can veer away from recommended retail price. So let us know in the comments section, wherever you're watching this, whether you have seen any dealer gouging on dealer delivery costs. In terms of the dealer that's going to be delivering mine, I'll reveal that in just a second, but price we know. In terms of the spec, I think we've discussed previously with the spec of this thing that it's a big departure from where Ford was with the previous generation of the Ranger Raptor. The previous gen 2-litre diesel, I mean, the car itself was great, but probably let down a little bit by the engine, and they've completely fixed that by going down the path of a 3-litre twin-turbo petrol V6 engine. And it is just the right engine for this chassis. And they've also then thrown the kitchen sink at it in terms of features, in terms of off-road equipment as well, front and rear diff locks. You've got a full-time four-wheel drive system, but you can still set it to two-wheel drive mode if you want to do some silly stuff and do skids and drifts and all that sort of stuff. Inside the cabin, it has all the latest technology, including Ford's Sync 4 infotainment system. That'll eventually come with the ability to do over-the-air updates, which I'm excited about. It's like my Tesla, for example. You can add features overnight when Ford decides they really want to give you a new mapping software, or perhaps fix some of the calibrations with the car's tuning or something like that. They can easily roll that stuff out as well. In terms of the way that it drives, I'm not allowed to talk about that just yet because all of that stuff is under embargo, but I did spend some time in the passenger seat of a Ranger Raptor during the development drive, And the noise is absolutely unreal. I think when you first hear this car in Baja mode, you can independently set exhaust flaps fully open or partly closed, depending on which mode you're in. But in Baja mode, it's all fully loud. And it sounds incredible. And this is the type of thing you want from a Ranger Raptor. It kind of gives me vibes of F-150 Raptor. So it's got a really good note to it. And I just love what they've done there in terms of giving it the real character that it deserves and that it needs. Other specs that we already know, towing capacity is going to be well under that 3.5 tonne mark. I think it's 2,500 kilos from memory. So you're not going to be buying a Ranger Raptor if you do intend on doing towing and that kind of thing, because it's just not really designed for that. I will mention as well that when it comes to payload, the Ranger, because it uses this live valve 2 suspension, it is designed for doing jumps and all the Baja stuff that people have bought these vehicles for. It's not really designed to do sort of day-to-day payload driving. You can still have a payload in the vehicle, but it's not entirely designed to do that. What else could we talk about? The gearbox, 10-speed automatic, and 10-speed automatic I think is the right gearbox for this. Obviously with the 10-speed, it's going to be doing a little bit of hunting while you're driving, but I think the fact that this is turbocharged, you've got enough of a torque band there for it to lean on, and that means that you won't have to be diving back through gears if you don't want to. Now I've got a question in on YouTube from Dean Wilson. You didn't say why you bought it, any specifics? Look, I kind of went through this in the video that we shot, but I bought this because I just have an affinity with what Ford's doing with this. I love the local engineering angle. I love the fact that Ford has really put a lot of effort into localising this vehicle and making it work for the Australian market. And by doing that, that means when you go out there or I go out there and buy it, that it's going to look, feel and drive like a vehicle should for the Australian market. I also love that this it's such a versatile vehicle. So you can use it as a family vehicle because you've got 4 seats, you've got stacks of room in the tray. It'll do off-roading. It does everything that you expect it to be able to do. And then you can use it as a daily driver as well. So it is better than an SUV in that regard. It is going to use a little bit of fuel. We just ran a story on the site, 11.5, I think, litres per 100 Ks is what they're talking about for Ranger Raptor in terms of consumption. So that is a fair old slug there, but look, ultimately you're not going to buy this if you want to save on fuel. You'll probably end up going down the path of a wild track with the V6 diesel for that matter. Another question from Carl Potter on YouTube. Is the 510 kilometre range shown realistic? Will it run on different grades of fuel? I'm pretty sure it runs on 91 RON. I think we asked that of one of the engineers, and that's good news because at the moment, I filled up an Everest over the weekend, $140 to put diesel in that, and that is just out of control. So you can imagine this uses significantly more fuel than something like an Everest. So it's going to be expensive to fuel, but I'm pretty sure you can just put 91 RON in there. I will double check that to be 100% sure, but that I guess puts a smile on my face. You won't have to go down the path of 98. I probably will put 98 in mine just because it is just a better fuel. Australia's fuel quality for unleaded is like third world bad. We have a really high sulfur content. While our diesel is actually pretty good quality, the sulfur content of unleaded is really bad in Australia. So you don't really want to be going too crazy on putting crappy fuel in your brand new truck. Question from QR999. Who asks what the exact height is. That's a great question. I will double check that. I know with the outgoing Ranger Raptor, it was slightly higher than the original, but it wasn't too high to not fit into car parks. So I live in an apartment building. I was able to fit the last gen Ranger Raptor into there. I could actually fit a Silverado, a 2500 inside my apartment building. So stacks of room there. And question from Dev May on YouTube. Cooled seats, question mark. God, you're really testing me out here with these. I don't think so. I don't think there's cooled seats available there. They are heated, but not cooled. Now, here is what I want your help with, and please mention in the comments exactly what you think we should do here. I need to know which colour I should get, and we'll run through the colours that are available. Igor, if you want to get us the colours up on the screen there. I'll run you through what Ford is offering with this. So it all kicks off with Shadow Black, which is basically just black, black, black. I saw that car when we did one of the development drives, and I think the black colour actually suits the Ranger Raptor nicely. It kind of hides some of the highlights, but at the end of the day, it's a pretty mean looking vehicle with that. Now that they have those C-clamp LED headlights, it kind of wraps all the way around to the side there, and the black sort of gives it enough character there to make it interesting out on the road. Aluminium metallic. I have been trawling some of the Thai sites to have a look at what some of these different colours look like in person. And sorry, if you're watching this on Instagram, you obviously can't see the screen we're looking at now. We're on the Ford website looking at the different colours that are available. This colour looked okay, but it kind of looked like other Rangers on the road. Then we have white, Arctic white. Arctic white is effectively just the white that you see on every other car on the road. This was the colour rather of the car that we shot at the Ford studios when we had a proper look at this in person. I thought it suited the car nicely. You could see all the highlights on it as well. The black is offset nicely with the white. There's also a decal package as well that Ford's still kind of finalising in terms of the design that you'll be able to see on these when they finally hit the ground running. Next up is Meteor Grey. Now this one's interesting because it looks very different on the computer than it does on Instagram. When I was trawling some of the Thai sites on Instagram, it looked a little different to what I was expecting it to look like. It's not quite as rich or metallic as it is here on the computer. Sedona Orange. Now this one is a pretty full-on colour. When we did one of our recent drives at Love Day, they had a Sedona Orange car there, and in the sunlight, it actually looks more red than orange, but then in the shade and when the sun is setting, it actually looks fantastic, and it just stands out nicely, and it really suits some of those character lines on the car, including those big flared wheel arches and the big Ford logo on the front there. They offset nicely with the colour. So if you have ordered a Sedona Orange, thumbs up there. I think they look pretty cool. Next up was Blue Lightning. Now this is, I guess, Ford's halo colour for the Ranger Raptor. I quite like this. I've seen one of these before in person, and I think this colour really suits the vehicle, kind of traditional as well, and sort of, again, helps it stand out in traffic. What's next on our list there, Igor? If you hit that arrow. Code Orange. Sorry, I'm getting Code Orange confused with Sedona Orange. So Code Orange is the one that we saw at the development drive. So this is the one that is quite rich, pops in the sunlight, and you can really sort of see it from a mile away. So if you do drive this in the daylight, it is going to be very obvious exactly which colour that is. Next cab off the rank, Igor. Conquer Grey. Okay, so this is the final colour here. This, I guess I could most liken to Nardo Grey that Audi has. Nardo Grey is one of my favourite colours, and I think this is the one that I'm leaning towards. So let me know in the comments section, do you think that Conquer Grey is the right colour to go for? I think that's kind of where I'm going with this, and the colour that I think I'm going to land on. I think that it really just suits the Ranger Raptor. The one that I've seen on Instagram, on some of the Thai sites, it really just blends in nicely day and night. So I think it is kind of a good balance there to go for. Now, delivery, when is it arriving? So Ford has said that Ranger will launch in June, which is next month. We've seen these cars getting produced out of the factory in Thailand, so we can see that they're coming. Will they arrive on time? I don't know. Ford is reliant upon a lot of parts from China. China is in currently various levels of lockdown, which means that it's almost impossible to get the parts they need to complete assembly on these cars. And often they're just small bits and pieces that really don't mean much in the grand scheme of things, but without those, you can't actually finish assembly of the vehicle, which kind of makes it entirely pointless. They then said that Raptor would arrive in July and Everest in August. We've now seen pricing for Everest as well. And look, I think it is probably a little ambitious to expect my car to arrive in July. I'll be in one of the first batches, and some of you have asked, where am I getting the car from? How much am I paying? So I'm getting it from Madiki Ford in Port Macquarie. So they reached out to me on Instagram, were able to offer me one of their first cars. Now, don't panic, I haven't stolen a customer's car. This is actually one of the dealer principal's cars, so he was kind enough to offer me his personal vehicle. So all of the customers that had placed orders out of that dealership won't be bumped thanks to me. In terms of price, I'm just paying the same price that anyone else would, so I'm not going to be getting any discount outside of what's normally available to anyone else buying a Ford. So despite Ford wanting as much marketing on this car as they can, there are other motoring journalists that are actually buying these as well. So I think it's worth noting that I won't be the only one buying these. And I think that probably tells you something. While we can't talk about the way that this drives just yet, I think it's pretty clear that if I and two other motoring journalists that you probably know that I won't mention unless they come out and say who they are, but I think the fact that we're all buying this is probably testament to how well this drives and how exciting it is. And I also say, if you are going to buy one of these, make sure you reach out to the guys at Madiki Ford to put your order in, because they've been excellent to deal with so far. I'll be filming everything from the sort of delivery process right through to bringing it home and all that sort of stuff, and they've been great accommodating that. Now, let's talk about something else that I need help with, and that is the registration plate. So with my other cars, I've got like custom registration plates that have been kind of funny and interesting. For my Supra, I went down the path of Jap BMW because it is a Japanese BMW effectively. So I thought that was kind of fun. When I sold that car, it's now sold. The new owner actually wanted to keep the plates. I was just going to sort of get rid of them, but he wanted to keep them, so I thought that was pretty cool. With my Tesla Model 3, I went down the path of PEVI. That is the equation, the Ohm's law equation, so power equals volts times current. I thought it was funny, but literally nobody understood what it meant, which is a bit of a shame, and my wife hated it. She was the one that mainly drove the car, so needless to say, I probably won't be allowed to get a custom number plate again. But for the Ranger Raptor, I need your help selecting a registration plate. So the car will be registered in Victoria, and it's a little bit complicated, but there are only certain combinations that work in Victoria. So if you go to the custom plates website, and I need to double check exactly what this is, I think it's customplates.com.au. So I wait with bated breath, or no, maybe it's vplates.com.au. Yeah, sorry, it's vplates.com.au, which is the website for custom number plates in Victoria. Have a look at that website, that'll tell you which combinations work, but I've had some people send through some ideas for combinations for the Ranger Raptor. So Liam on YouTube wrote Rapt01, so RAPT01. We had one from Jeff, Talon or Talons. I like that. That's referring to the Raptor, which I think was like some dinosaur or something like that. Wes Aldrich on YouTube, who wrote Clever Girl. That's cute. David Dixon on YouTube, FARCue, F-A-R-C-U-E. Very good. I like that. I like this one from Anthony Pestka on YouTube, Rager. I like that, and he reckons the blue colour as well. Oh, I like this from, I'm going to pronounce your name wrong here. Trust me, I'm used to this, growing up with a weird name. Sarah Osis Farm on YouTube. Alpha or Apex. I like that. That is a great idea. I think Apex might be taken, but that's okay. Paul P on YouTube suggested red car with plate redback. That is cool. I love that. That's a great idea. Chris on Facebook, Veloci. Now, Veloci was cool because Veloci Raptor, I actually already looked for that and it is taken, unfortunately, but that would have been a very cool one to have, I reckon. I like this one. This came from one of my friends, Zero Tools, because, well, except the one that's driving, but Zero Tools as in I have no tools in the back, I'm not a tradie, so I actually really like that one. So that is on my short list there. So yes, keep them coming through. I like these suggestions so far. Let's talk about some of the content plans that we have for the Ranger Raptor that I'm buying. Now, I would like some ideas here, but please keep in mind that I'm paying my own money for this. I'm not going to go drop it out of a plane or do something that's going to destroy the car, but I would like to have some fun with it. One of the things I want to do is a tug of war with another vehicle I've bought from the US. Now, I keep talking about this car, but I'm waiting to announce what it is because I need to make sure I can actually get it registered because it's looking a little touch and go at the moment. But if that all comes through without any dramas, that's going to be involved in videos with the Ranger Raptor. Old v new, I think that's probably one of the cool ones that we can do to see how much of a difference there is between the 2-litre diesel and the V6 petrol. Mods, so some of you reached out to me on YouTube with regards to mods. One of the questions from Webby on Cars, hello Paul, he asked, will you fit any ARB accessories to it? I would like to see what's available first. So Ford, as part of development of Ranger, have basically put together a set of accessories with ARB. And these are all going to be warranted with the car if you buy them at the dealer before you purchase the vehicle. And that'll mean that, in 2 years down the track, if something goes wrong, you'll simply go get your warranty sorted. They've also been engineered with the cars. So they've been doing a lot of cooling testing, load testing with some of these ARB accessories to make sure they all work flawlessly and work as they should with the vehicle. Will I fit some to the Ranger Raptor? Look, the only thing I'm getting as an option is the beadlock rims. Because I think they look cool. I'll probably never really use them, but why not? You can't use them on a public road anyway. But I'll see what other ARB accessories will be eventually available for the Ranger Raptor before I decide what to put on there. Tiger Scott on YouTube has asked, okay, so he suggested a front bar a 2-inch spring lift and rear airbags. Well, it's kind of already got rear airbags with a live valve system. So the way that works is it's electronically controlled, and while you're driving, it's able to modify what the suspension is doing depending on the condition. And one of the cool features that it has is with the Ranger Raptor, when you floor it, it kind of tilts up like that because it's soft enough. It's kind of like a trophy truck in the way that it's tuned. So it'll lift up like that. Now, to prevent that from affecting your acceleration, what they've actually done is firmed up the rear so it sits flatter as you accelerate, and it means that you're not getting that aggressive lift at the front end when you do take off. So they've been able to do a whole lot of clever stuff there. It even has, even though Ford doesn't like me talking about this, a jump mode, and what that means is that when you do finally get air, it's able to recognize that you've reached full extension, and when you come to land, instead of it just hitting and bottoming out, it's able to gradually control the impact so that it absorbs it nicely before giving you a soft cushion right at the end of that travel, which I think is pretty cool. Brett Allen 84 on YouTube has asked, will you get the bead locker wheels? Yes, I will get those. So bead lock rims, for those of you that don't know, they're effectively a thing that, I don't know if they originated in four-wheel driving or drag racing, but when you do air-down tyres for four-wheel driving or drag racing, you run the risk of the tyre coming off the rim. And as a result of that, if you are four-wheel driving, you're going to be in a spot of bother because you can't actually get any traction or do anything. It'll just spin independently of the tyre. What the B-lock rims do is basically lock it into position with bolts effectively so that it is clamped right in there. It means you can air down all the way down to whatever low pressure you need to for sand driving or off-road driving or drag racing, and it means that you won't rip your tyre off that rim, which I think is pretty sort of positive stuff. Now, we're going to show you, just quickly before we get on with the rest of your questions, a walk around video. This might be a little bit clunky, but it should just give you a bit of a feel for exactly what all of this looks
sorry about the wind, but how good does this look? That's the new Ford Ranger Raptor. Love it in this colour as well. Looks really nice and meaty here in person.
So
like those big bonnet vents too. So we're going to finally have a chance to take this for a drive. This is a pre-production car, so it's not like a proper finished unit.
But that's okay. You can see in direct sunlight there it looks more red than it does orange. But when the sun does fade away, it basically, it just turns into a much nicer colour. This is definitely the one that will stand out. But I did notice at the back of the car there with the graphics package, didn't really look that good on Code Orange. So if you are going to go down the path of that colour, maybe skip the graphics package. I haven't seen what the final design of that looks like, but I think they've gone a little more intense with the design of the graphics package and what it actually looks like in person. So I'd probably give that a miss if you aren't too keen on doing that. Let me know as well whether you want to see a jump test and a drift test with my Ranger Raptor. So drift test I'm definitely going to do because I did that in the old car in the wet and it was actually pretty fun. It didn't really have enough power to do anything, but when it was raining, those BF Goodrich tyres had barely any traction and it was all over the place, so it was good fun. But yeah, let me know if you have any other content ideas. We're monitoring your responses and comments as we speak, so make sure you let us know down there. It'd actually be pretty cool to see Atco drift this. So I might get him behind the wheel of my car. We'll see about that. A couple of other questions that have come in on YouTube. Will the active noise cancellation and acoustic glass come back? That's a good question. I'm wondering whether some of this stuff is affected by chip shortages. So at this stage, Ford has been removing some stuff from their existing Ranger stock because of chip shortages. So we've seen things like the stop-start function on some vehicles being deleted because they just haven't been able to get the microchips that sit within these controllers. And I have a feeling that noise cancellation and that kind of thing will be affected by some of these lockdowns. So we might see this technology come back at some point. But to be honest, Ford actually managed to do a really good job with those all-terrain tyres to make them not too noisy inside the cabin. Ranger Raptor has a pretty decent note out of the exhaust as well, so it means that you probably want to hear that more often than not. I've got a question here from YouTube from Envy DXR1. A very tricky name there. What colour accents can you get for the interior and leather seats? Pretty sure it's just the one colour. I know that Ranger Raptor has red stitching. I don't know if it's body coloured, but the stitching is offset to the black seats, and I have a feeling it just remains red throughout the car. But yeah, you probably wouldn't want any other colour. Lighter coloured cars tend to get quite dirty, especially in this application, so the darker stuff is probably better. Question from TMC383 on YouTube. Will you fit a roller tonneau? Yeah, this is the thing I find interesting. They kind of sell you the car with nothing on the back. And I'd love to have a manual or automatic roller cover on the car to conceal things or just to stop water getting in there, because if you park it outside, it's just going to get drenched. So hopefully Ford has come up with a system, because it looks pretty cool on the wild track. It's automatic and does all that fun stuff. They also won't have a side step for Ranger Raptor like they do on the rest of the Ranger range. Because of where the exhaust sits at the back of the Ranger Raptor, it kind of gets in the way of where the step is in standard Ranger vehicles. So it means that you don't really get the ability to have that space for an entry into the tray. So unfortunately that won't be there. JW Marks, should I buy a Ranger or a Hummer H1? That's a good question. Look, I think if you're buying one of these vehicles, I think the cooler option would be a Hummer, but if you were to settle on a Ranger Raptor, that would be just as cool. Question from Instagram from MBMM18. Would you have a manual if it was an option? That's a good question. I'll answer this one to Instagram. That is a great question. Look, I think it's a shame that the manual is dead, and Ford's probably going to hate me saying this, but their manual transmissions were never really that good. It was always the Holden ones that were far better. So if it was a Ford manual, probably not. If you could fit the manual transmission out of the VF Series 2 Redline into a Ranger Raptor, then you'd have me talking. I think that'd be good fun. But I think stop-start traffic, I'm a bit lazy. Maybe just stick with the automatic. Question from Jason on Facebook. This is a great one. Will there be a Raptor plug-in hybrid EV? So that's a good question, because we kind of revealed a little while back, and we exclusively told everyone the engine lineup of the entire Ranger and Everest range like 2 years ago, I think, and those predictions have been almost 100% accurate. One of those predictions, I can't even speak English at the moment, was that there would be a plug-in hybrid version of Everest and Ranger. The conundrum Ford has with Raptor specifically, and going down the path of hybrid or plug-in hybrid, is that it already weighs a lot. So Ranger Raptor is around that 2.4 tonne mark. So if you now then go and put mild hybrid or plug-in hybrid components, you're probably going to add another 200 or 300 kilos to that platform. That means doing things like jumps needs to be completely re-engineered. You probably have to go down the path of the Live Valve 3 suspension in the F-150 Raptor. Then also things like your performance. Yes, it might be quicker, but can the chassis handle that performance and still be capable off-road? So I think that they may offer plug-in hybrid in standard Ranger down the track, or just a mild hybrid system, but I don't know that we'll see a plug-in hybrid specifically for Ranger Raptor. Question from Instagram from our good friend Josh, who's done a lot of illustration stuff for us. How loud is it in person, and does it have a soft limiter? So I'll answer this one up there to the Instagram camera. That is a great question. So in the background here, Igor is going to try and load up one of our sound clips so you can see exactly what it sounds like. But it actually sounds awesome in person. And look, normally I don't say cars sound good unless they actually do. When it's stationary, if you put it in Baja mode and the exhaust is open, it's got a real sort of bellow to it. It sounds, it actually sounds a bit like the M3 or the M4. It's just got that metallic V6 revving sound. I really just love that. Obviously, not a V6 in M3 and M4, but it's got that sort of same note to it, and I like what they've done there. Has a soft limiter at idle, but once it's moving and it's really hoofing along, it sounds seriously cool. And I think that Ford has done a really good job giving you that balance between the raucousness and also quietness when you need it. So yeah, I think they've done well there. So Igor's going to load up our sound clip now. You'll be able to have a bit of a listen to it. I'll be quiet. You won't hear this on Instagram, but you will if you're watching this on YouTube. You'll be able to hear this revving. This is basically a video that we had on my Instagram previously, and you'll be able to see exactly what that sounds like. Keep in mind, this is a pre-production car, so the noise that you hear here might not be on the final version, but it should sound at least as good as this, if not better. So here is the sound of the Ranger Raptor. I'll be quiet now. We're just focusing on the back. So there you go. What do you reckon about that? That sounds pretty good. I think you've got to hear it in person. Once it's moving, it really has a good note to it, and it hums along nicely. So I like what they've done there. Question from Coffee Dogs, that's with a Z on YouTube. What outlets are in the tray? Okay, good question. So at launch, I don't think we're going to see any real fancy stuff out of the tray, but if you have a look at the size of the plate that's in the tray, recently we drove an F-150 in the States. It was a platinum hybrid. We're going to do a review, not a video review, but a written review on that soon. That actually had the optional generator pack. So on the back there, in the same size plate, they're able to use the internal combustion engine to send power through 3 sockets there at up to 7 kilowatts. Then you have a setting where if the car's battery is running low or whatever, you're able to get the car on to act as a generator. And I think that's pretty cool because it means that you can run effectively whatever you want at a work site with just your vehicle if it runs out of power. Then in addition to that, when the Lightning finally hopefully gets here in Australia, that'll take things even further with something like 11 kilowatt capability out of the tray. So I think that's a pretty impressive setup. But at launch, we won't be able to get anything like that in Australia. But I reckon Ford is working on it because it is a unique advantage that other manufacturers don't have. And I think that it's something that Ford will definitely try and do when they can finally get the chance. Question from Mark D on YouTube. If I ordered one today, when would it be available for delivery? Are we talking mid-2023? Yeah, look, I've got some bad news. If you were to go into a dealer today, you're really going to struggle getting stock. And that's why I recommend calling around. So have a chat to the guys at Mediki Ford. I know that they're probably going to be inundated with orders themselves, but have a chat to them. They'll be able to give you a good indication of when a vehicle is available. When I first posted that I was buying one, I had probably 20 or 30 dealers reach out to me saying that they had stock available. The only one that actually had stock available for me at first instance was Mediki Ford, but some of the other dealers I spoke to were able to get cars within a month or two of launch, and some of these were regional dealers. So have a think about places like Colac in Victoria, regional New South Wales, regional Victoria, near Mildura as well. So have a look around the place, but you're going to have to shop around, call every Ford dealer. Someone will have one. Then when you do find someone with the lowest waiting list, then get on their emergency list. So sometimes people cancel on these things, so it's worth just jumping in while you can. Question from Aaron Rose on Facebook. Will you be able to have the second battery and DC to DC option for the Raptor? No, not under the bonnet. So Ranger and Everest, you can fit a second battery under the bonnet, but unfortunately you can't do that on Raptor. You're gonna have to fit that in the tray. A little bit disappointing because Ford really should have, I know obviously you can't fit everything in, but obviously if you are doing a platform from scratch, it's one of the things that is important to people. If you do go camping and you really want that second battery, this is exactly what you need to make that happen. And you're not just gonna have that option in the Raptor, which, yeah, not great. Question from Mike Seg on Instagram, any 0 to 100 estimates? Okay, good question. I'll answer this one up there to Instagram. I don't know. I think I'm hoping for about that 6-second mark. It needs to be quicker than a V6 Amarok diesel, and it also needs to be quicker than the V6 diesel in the rest of the Ranger range. But you have to keep in mind that this is quite heavy, so it's not going to be lightning fast. So I'm hoping that they've been able to achieve some good numbers out of that, but that is one of the first things I will definitely be testing. Question from Abe AU on YouTube. Will adults fit comfortably in the rear seats? Yeah, look, I had a quick seat in the back and there is slightly more room than a standard Ranger, but it isn't massive there in terms of the accommodation. So if you're on YouTube, you can see on our screen there, it gives you an idea of how much room there is. Keep in mind in that setting there, the seats are all the way back and there's measurement equipment in the back there, but it feels about the same as the standard Ford Ranger, which is a little bit disappointing. I think that given, again, they're doing this kind of from scratch, you can afford yourself a little bit more room. 2 abreast are going to be fine in the second row, but I think 3 are probably going to be a squeeze. Question from Your Honour on Instagram. Where is the Raptor manufactured? In your experience, how important is the country of manufacture on quality? That is a great question. It's going to be manufactured in Thailand. That's currently where the rest of the Ranger and Everest range is manufactured. In terms of quality, I've found Ford products tend to be pretty good out of Thailand, but let me know, do you own a Ranger or an Everest? What has build quality been like longer term? Because I'm keen to get feedback from people. I'm going to be buying one of these and I will be reporting every single thing that goes wrong with it because I'm paying my own money here. So I will let you guys know if anything does go wrong with that and exactly what they've done to fix it. I like this number plate suggestion that's come in from Andrew D on YouTube. Dino, so you can be Fred Flintstone. Very good. Matthias on YouTube, how many speakers with the Bang & Olufsen? Wow, you guys are asking some tough questions here. I don't know. That's something I'm going to have to get back to you on as well. So I'll post an update in the comments on this YouTube video with answers to some of the questions that I haven't been sure about. I have a feeling it's an 8-speaker sound system, and it's technically not Bang & Olufsen. It's a Bang & Olufsen Play, so B&O Play sound system. That's kind of like the, what's a good way to describe it? It's kind of like, it's kind of like flying Jetstar when you can fly Qantas. It's the same thing, same payroll structure for their employees, but it's slightly cheaper. So yeah, they'll both get you there. They'll be just slightly different. So that's the difference between those. Michael on YouTube, what does tow mode do to the vehicle? That is a good question. So with towing modes, a lot of people don't know that simply towing in the highest gear available can put a lot of load on your drivetrain. So this being a 10-speed auto, you don't really want to necessarily be towing in 10th gear with a heavy trailer while you're doing a long uphill stretch, for example. So tow mode is going to take into account how much load there is on the vehicle. Then it's going to pick the gear that's appropriate for the response that you need, and also putting the least amount of load on the vehicle, because longer term, this kind of stuff can do damage to your gearbox. So obviously they want to avoid this, and they want to make sure that that doesn't happen. Lights are switching off around us here, unfortunately. Yes, so that is what tow mode does. It is kind of an intelligent system. It's been designed to make sure that you have longevity there out of your gearbox and everything associated with all of those towing systems. My understanding is as well that Ford is going to offer the tow pack as standard, and also the trailer brakes as well that will be standard on the vehicle. So it means you don't have to option that. And I'm pretty sure they're doing it via a switch inside the car that is also featured on the F-150, which is good to see. Mehmet on Facebook has said, is Ford offering 7 or 5 years warranty? 5 years, so Ford hasn't moved to a 7-year warranty. It's interesting, a lot of manufacturers are reluctant to go to a 7-year warranty in Australia, and I don't know, with the Australian consumer law, they're already kind of obliged to do that regardless of whether you have a 5 or 7-year warranty. And Mitsubishi's done it quite clever. So they've gone with the 10-year warranty, and it means with the 10-year warranty, as long as you service it with Mitsubishi, they will cover your vehicle for 10 years, which I think is a fantastic setup. And it means that you're going to go back there to buy your next vehicle, if you need to. So I think that's a pretty impressive setup. So, all right, I need to go home. I need to see my wife and kids. So I think it is time we wrap this up. I just wanted to say thank you again for subscribing. Thank you for following me on social media and all that sort of stuff. We really appreciate it. We love doing the YouTube stuff. We love that we're going to bring you some merchandise that we can have some fun with. We have some really cool content coming up over the next couple of months, including something that we're going to do that I think for me is going to be quite special. So we will keep you sort of posted on that. Igor thinks this is fun, which is good to see. Great, so we'll do more of these if you guys want them. So let me know in the comments section below if you have any other questions. I will answer whatever I can after this live stream ends. But I do appreciate your time tonight, sticking around, listening to me ramble on about the Ford Ranger Raptor. And I think I've landed on Conquer Grey as the colour. And I think Zero Tools is what I'm liking as the registration suggestion. So I'm going to look up to see if that's available tonight. And if it is, I'm going to order it. And that's what's going to be on my car. So thank you guys for tuning in. Really appreciate it. But until next time, drive safely.